there, it's me, Nate, and today we're going to be doing a tag video. This is the Booktuber roll tag. I think it was in my, my Tower of Swallows review. In the comments of that video, Eternal Reading, he suggested, since I was having such a rough reading month, I do one of the tag videos that he has done on his channel. So I was looking through, and this Booktuber roll tag sounded interesting to me, so I wanted to give this one a shot. So yeah, I want to say, thanks to Eternal Reading for the suggestion, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description. And the tag, by the way, was created by Allison Annotated, so I'll put that in the description also. And before I go ahead and get into the prompts, in the rest of the video, for upcoming content on my channel, I think probably next week I'll have out the kind of like a recap of my June reading, and then I should also have out my July TBR, and also probably a June book haul, which that'll probably be a good sized book haul video. So I should probably have out 2 or 3 videos next week. It should be a decently bigger size week for content on the channel, so be looking forward to that. At least I hope I should be able to get that out. My house is getting the wiring. The house is getting rewired right now, so there might be some delay on that. But I hope to have all those videos out next week. But now on with the tag. So prompt number 1: how do you view your role as a booktuber? So for me, I don't know if I would say a critic, because I feel like in order to be a critic, you have to have like a lot of knowledge on the subject or a lot of experience. And I've read books all of my whole life, and before making the channel, I was reading a lot less books than I used to. So it's only really been since I made the channel that I've been reading like a lot more adult fantasy, or adult fiction, whether that is fantasy or sci-fi, or trying some more like literary fiction or some classics. So I don't know if I think since I mainly do reviews on the channel, at the moment, I guess I would consider myself a critic. But I guess I would consider myself more of a layman critic, in that I am still, very early on in kind of my reading journey. So I guess I consider myself as kind of like a filter, in that, maybe if you're somebody who is less knowledgeable in fiction, or like, less, not as well versed, you could come to my channel and see some of the things that I like, and you might enjoy them too, as somebody who might be in the same position. So I guess that would be what I consider my role to be. But like, mainly, like, the point of this channel when I made it was kind of an incentive for me to read, because in my personal life, I don't like the things that I like to read, other people don't, or they don't read at all. Like my family, some of them read, but they mainly read things. They read a lot of nonfiction, a lot of historical nonfiction, which can be great, and I've enjoyed some of that before too. But primarily, I enjoy fantasy or sci-fi, or manga or stuff like that. And so one of the things I made this channel was a place where I could share the things I'm interested in or the things I enjoy, and then people could talk to me about it. That was like a very selfish way of me, selfish reason for me for making this channel. But also, hopefully, like I said, I can, as I'm experiencing and finding things that I enjoy, I can help other people find things that they may enjoy. So I guess that would be what I consider my role as a booktuber is. Second prompt: Do I have any educational background in literature or literary criticism, either formal or self-directed? And if you're comfortable sharing, do you have any other education or professional experience that you bring to bear on your reviews? No and no. I did go to college, but I never finished college. And even when I was there, it wasn't. I didn't study literature or anything really. And so no, I don't have like any kind of like experience or background in literature. And as for like self-directed like education, nothing beyond what I've already read or anything like that. So quick and easy. I have nothing for you there on that one. Prompt number 3. Do you typically do any research on either the book or the author before you review a book? No, again. So when I read a book, or when I'm choosing to read and review a book, I try to mainly focus on just the text. And so, when I'm thinking about picking up a book, I might read a synopsis, or what it's about, on Goodreads or the back of the book, because if the book doesn't sound interesting, I don't want to pick it up and read it. But beyond that, I don't really do any research. If a book is a part of a universe, I do want to make sure that if I'm starting a series or a world of books, I want to make sure I'm starting at the beginning, right? So, for instance, Malazan, right? You're going to start at Gardens of the Moon. You're not going to start with one of the side series. You want to make sure that you're starting from the beginning of a world or a universe or of a series. But beyond that, I don't want to do too much research on a book because I don't want to allow secondary or tertiary elements of the history or publication of the book, or my my opinions of the person, of the author, or things that they may have said or done before, to cloud my judgment of the content of the book itself. Because as a book reviewer, I think it's important to focus on the text and the meaning and feelings you find in the text of the book. And afterwards, after I've read the book and done the review, I may go out and research afterwards. But no, I try to mainly focus on the text. Because I think you may see this in a lot of authors. In a lot of reviews. On Booktube or on YouTube, or TikTok or wherever. A lot of reviewers choose to let their opinions of the author's history, or their social media presence, or the things they've said, cloud their judgment and opinion of the book itself, which is totally fair. Each person can approach this however they want to, but I choose not to do that, because when I'm reviewing a book, and I think when a person is looking for a review of something, they want an analysis of the contents of that book, of that story. They're not looking for your opinion of what the author said on Twitter. So I try to only base my my reviews and my content off of what the content of the book is. But to keep it simple. Prompt number 4. Do you focus your reviews more on the objective qualities of a book, or more on your subjective opinions about it? So I think... Wait a second. Yeah, so I try to focus my reviews more on my subjective opinions about it. Because a review is your subjective opinion. That is all a review is. People try to be objective about things, but beyond, when you're approaching a book, and beyond it, there's the objective facts about any book, right? It's you can say this book is really popular. That can be the objective truth. You can say this book is, has sold millions of copies. That can be true. You can say that this author is highly well regarded. That is true. But you can't make any really substantive or important, claims about the objectivity of the contents of the book. I mean, you could say things, I guess, like, it is objectively true that The Shining has the contents of The Shining by Stephen King have inspired other, horror writers who came after him to write their own stories. That can be objectively true. But, I think this whole argument of objectivity and subjectivity in reviews is, a review is your opinion, and that's what reviews are. A review of anything, whether it's a book, a video game, a movie, a TV show, it's all about that person's opinion. So all reviews are subjective. I don't try to think, I try not to get too bogged down by it, because there's some people who think, well, I enjoyed this, but if I try to be objectively about it and think about what other people might think, I think objectively this might be a little bit worse. No, it's like, if I enjoyed something, that's the review. Like, if I enjoy a book, my review is going to be about how I enjoyed that book, and I'm going to tell you about the things I liked and enjoyed about it. I'll mention the cons, like, what I didn't like about it, but the review is that I liked the book and I want to tell you why I liked it. So that's my opinion on it. Reviews are subjective, and you should embrace it. Like, that's the point. Prompt number 5. Have you ever received a free book or advanced reader copy from the author? And if so, did it have any impact on your ability to honestly review the book, or on how you felt about it? So, I've never received a free book or an ARC from a publisher or from an author or anything like that. Personally, for reviewers, I don't think, to me, at least personally, it doesn't feel quite kosher to receive a free book from an author or publisher and then make content or like a review on that book, because not that I'm saying there's some kind of like implied or inherent favoritism or like payment or like some shadiness about it, but I do think it kind of engenders unconscious like favoritism or like likability, because I'm not talking about authors, especially like indie authors, when they try to send somebody their book, at least not always, but a lot of times when publishers send like a book or an ARC to like a content creator, it's like kind of like it's a basically a deal. It's like, hey, you get this book, you get to put you get to get views and make this content on your channel when this book is fresh and it's hot, and then we get attention to our new book, and then people come buy our new book. It's an agreement. As small as my channel is, I don't think this is like something that I'll worry about anytime soon, if ever, if the channel never gets any bigger. But I just don't really like the kind of getting the free stuff from people and then making content or a review about it. That's why I wouldn't, if I was offered an ARC, I wouldn't take it. I would rather just wait until the book comes out and then just buy it myself, because I feel like if you buy the book or whatever you're like reviewing, if you buy it yourself, then that like it's only on it, like your opinion is solely based on you and the money you spent on it, because then that way your opinion is most going to closely align with the other people who are watching your video, who also went out and spent their money or are thinking about spending their money on this book that you are reviewing. Because if I get a book for free and I didn't like it, it's like, well, I didn't like the book that much, but I'll give it 3 stars instead of 2 because I got it for free. Because like unconsciously, I don't factor in the money I spent on it. And that, that'll be like, that's a different experience from somebody who went to the bookstore and paid, money, like their hard-earned money that they worked for the book. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of receiving ARCs or free books from authors and publishers. That's just my opinion on it. But again, like kind of like I mentioned earlier, each person like on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, they can each do their own thing. And I pass no like judgment or aspersions on them, but that's just how I personally feel about it. Prompt number 6. Do you review every book you read? Are there any reasons that you might read a book but choose not to review it? So for the first part of the question, do I review every book I read? No. There's plenty of books I read that I don't review. And are there any reasons that you might read a book but choose not to review it? So yeah, here we go. So if I read a book and DNF it, I'm not going to review it, because I feel like if you DNF a book, you shouldn't review it. In my like kind of monthly recap videos, I used to have a section where I talked about the books I DNF'd. And on reflection, I was like, I'm not going to include those anymore because nobody cares about the things I didn't finish. And it's not really fun or enjoyable to talk about. Or so, obviously, you guys aren't going to watch or listen, want to watch or listen to me talk about things that I didn't even bother to finish. So that's mainly it. For the things that I read but don't review. Also, nonfiction books. I think reviewing a nonfiction book, you can do it, obviously. I think there is, a place for it. But I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction. I do plan to read some more. And so I don't know how I feel about nonfiction. I don't think I'm going to put, reviews of nonfiction here on this channel. I might. It just kind of depends, because, nonfiction is more factual and informational, so it's kind of like you're not really reviewing prose in the same way, or I don't know, it's a different thing from reviewing fiction. I'd have to think about it. So I think that would be kind of the only way I wouldn't review a book here on the channel, if it's either something I DNF'd or if it was nonfiction. I think those would be like the two kind of factors for why I would read a book and then not review it. And then prompt number 7. How do you feel about the fact that many people now primarily consume book reviews by hobbyists on Booktube rather than professional critics? What is lost? What is gained? So, I actually don't know if anything is lost by people not following professional critics. Because back in the day, when people would read, book reviews by professional critics, they were mainly reading them in the newspaper or, in a magazine or something. And at least in the United States, print media, in that, in the case of magazine subscriptions and newspapers, is at an all-time low. That's natural how that people are going to be going to those avenues less. But I think people not going to magazines and newspapers, but instead going to TikTok or YouTube. Now that those platforms exist, you can find more critics or content creators that will make content on the kind of things that you like, and might be able to better inform you on the type of things that you're looking for, and give critical analysis of those things. For example, if you're a person that likes to read spy thrillers, I am sure there is a booktuber out there who mainly focuses on thrillers, James Bond or Jack Reacher or whatever. Or same thing if you love to read horror, I'm sure there's a person who mainly focuses on reviewing horror, whether it's Stephen King or Ronald Malfi or so on. And so I feel not only is there more critical analysis and critical reviews for multiple different types of genre, to suit your own kind of your own interest of what you're looking for. It is now cheaper to do so. Newspapers and magazine subscriptions are not free, but YouTube and TikTok is. So you can go on there, you can look around, you can find somebody who is providing criticism of the things that you are interested in like an easier manner than ever before. So I don't think we've really lost that much. I think we've only kind of really gained. And if you are looking for some like professional, quote unquote, like book reviews, I'm sure they're still out there. I haven't read a newspaper in years, but I'm sure if you find a newspaper, I don't even know if a newspaper still have like a kind of like entertainment like book review or critic section anymore. I wouldn't know, but I'm sure like that or a magazine still probably does. So I'm sure that if you looked for that and you wanted that experience, you could still find it. So yeah. And so for prompt number 8, it says tag others. So for anybody who watches this video who has a channel, feel free to use this tag and do the same video. Also, I am on the Book Street Boys Discord, so when I post this video on there, I'll be sure to let anybody on there know that they're free to use this tag and continue on from there. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you could, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And like I said, I'm gonna try to get out probably like 2 or 3 videos next week. So be looking forward to that. And until then, have a good day.